Welcome in to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live, driven, and powered here by Go Chevrolet every single day, G-E-A-U-X. Chevrolet.com is where you can find them online, and of course, brand new cars over in LaPlace, Louisiana. If you're looking for used cars, you can find them over here in Baton Rouge at Go Chevrolet on the corner of Florida Boulevard and Sherwood Forest, as Go Chevrolet drives us every single day here. Go see our friends Lee Carney and Nick Richard and tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We will catch up on some New Orleans Saints action as our guy, Ronnie Riggs, is en route to Metairie right now to the practice facility. Day 2 of full pads for the New Orleans Saints. We will talk to Ron. What stood out yesterday as the Saints went full pads early on here in training camp down in New Orleans. Looking forward to a report coming up from Ronnie. We got a full crew in-house this morning. The Carpool Queen is here, back.
Hey, back
on duty later this week.
Oh yeah, back to carpool.
Wow,
oh my God,
it's unbelievable.
She completely forgot about carpool.
Friday is my first carpool day back, y'all.
And who knew? A huge Baker Mayfield fan.
Yeah.
The Carpool Queen.
Huge Baker.
Wait till you hear her future coming up here. You see the Caesars Sportsbook QR code up there in the top right. Can we start pushing the giveaway here?
We can start pushing
We start doing it? I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but
if
you want to pull that up, Katie, let them know. We got a really good giveaway for you coming up here. A couple of tickets. I think we got 4 tickets.
We do, to the LSU FSU game on September 4th. I don't know yet. You gotta let me figure out.
Okay, all right. We're gonna pull up all of the details.
I wasn't ready for this yet.
I'm sorry about that. That was my fault.
That's okay.
Caesars Sportsbook QR code. You see it up there in the top right. Click on it. Hold off for a couple of minutes here before you click on it, because we're going to give you an opportunity to get tickets to the LSU Florida State game with a QR code and a promo code that Katie is going to get you that information since I put her on the spot.
My bad. The Saints preseason game, too.
That's right. Noah is here as we are talking here on this Tuesday, and Stewie is here on this Tuesday. We're going to talk to Brody Miller about LSU football coming up here at 8:15 this morning. We will also talk to Ron Riggs, as we said, about the New Orleans Saints. But right now, recruiting. Huge, right? Obviously for LSU football and for the rest of the country, and it looks like a local is getting sloaned as Ricky Collins, quarterback from Woodlawn. This has seemed to be, kind of trending in a direction where LSU was really starting to pick up steam here over the last couple of months. I think people will directly talk about the last couple of weeks in Ricky Collins' recruiting, and it's another hashtag right now that is trending on social media.
Trendy.
It is hashtag Ricky Reconsidered, which we have seen this a couple of times. Shelton Sampson has actually announced yesterday in some discussions with he and his team that we are going to carry his commitment live here on Saturday on the Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel. So looking forward to that. Live from Catholic High School, from the gymnasium. We will have the announcement at 3:00. I think it's actually at like 3:06. Yeah, right. Like a lot of love for the number 6. Like it's happening on August 6th.
I forgot it was number 6.
Saturday, August 6th, 3:06.
Yeah.
So Shelton Sampson's going to make his announcement coming up here at 3:00 on Saturday, right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. So make sure you're following. 3:06. So we've seen these hashtags start to trend for LSU football over the last couple of weeks. Shelton stays home. Was that the first one?
Shelton stays was the first. Yeah.
Shelton stays was the first one. Bring Derek home.
Yep, was the second.
Was the second one, talking about Derek Williams.
The Lance Hurd one was the second one.
Lance stays?
Yeah.
Yes.
Bring Derek home sounds like he's missing.
Well, he could be.
Police are looking.
He will be missing out of the LSU defensive backfield if they can't flip him. And then this was the latest, the hashtag that is now trending in Ricky Reconsidered, which is
that makes me laugh.
Ricky Collins, the quarterback here locally, who's an Elite 11 quarterback. I don't know if we talked about that enough, is that he went out to the finalist in California. He was one of, I believe, 23 finalists, 24 finalists that went out to California, 20-plus quarterbacks went out to California, and he was ranked as the number 11 quarterback in the country. The top 11 quarterbacks have that Elite 11 status.
Why are there 11? Why not 10?
I don't know.
That's
And
weird.
I can't
I guess
answer
they
that.
like
I
the
think
number
that's kind of
11.
always been kind of like
Oh.
their magic number has been 11. I guess
Interesting.
11 players on the field. I don't know.
okay.
I mean, maybe that's I'm throwing something at the wall.
Yeah.
See if it sticks.
Interesting.
But Ricky Collins, who turned out to be in this recruiting cycle an Elite 11 quarterback, Arch Manning didn't go.
It was
All right,
12
okay.
quarterbacks at the.
There was 12.
12 at the
Wow,
competition.
dude.
Yeah.
So they invite 12 and only rank 11?
That's so
That is
weird
a
to me.
tough day for that,
That really-
for that
that
12th
sucks.
guy.
Guy.
Yep.
That
Damn.
sucks. Why would they
Can
do
you imagine the
that?
confidence you show up to that camp with, and then you leave as number 12?
I mean,
Bro, you might as well have just kind of lost my
yeah,
invitation.
I could have not came.
Yeah, right. I mean, where's Arch when you need him? Why didn't he do any camps in the off season? Man, that's tough. Only 12.
Only 12.
Man, that poor number 12.
Ricky was the most accurate. I want to say he won the accuracy award, which, you know what? If that's my quarterback, if my quarterback's the most accurate in the country, I'll take that every single time.
Every
Wait,
time.
who was number 1? Did we
Who
say?
was number 1?
Was it the kid from Vegas? He was the one that I think
I forgot
he's the
about
one
him.
that sniped Arch as the number 1 player in the country. now.
Malachi.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
Malachi
yes.
I
Nelson.
forgot about that guy.
USC commit, huh?
I think so.
Is he?
Yeah. Lincoln,
Wow.
Lincoln, the rich get
Lincoln.
richer.
Lincoln. But Ricky Collins, and so it looks like LSU's going to get a quarterback in this class. And it looks like it's trending towards Collins. Last night, Collins posted the following message on Twitter. I want to thank Coach Blaggy for developing the relationship necessary for me to believe that I can make a difference at this great university, talking about Purdue. I would like to thank some members of the coaching staff for attempting to make me feel welcome. However, the process has been ever evolving and that of a humbling experience. With the recent changes in my recruitment process and the lapse in communication, my family and I have decided to decommit and reopen my recruitment, Collins wrote last night on Twitter. He is rated the number 13 quarterback in the country, according to 247 Sports, and has long been pledged to Purdue throughout this process. And over the last couple of weeks has been steadfast, saying that he's locked in to West Lafayette, he's going up to Indiana to go play high school football. Now, a lot of people around here were speculating on whether or not that was really the case or not, because of the people that we were talking to around LSU were really telling you, like, they were putting the gas pedal to the floor. Like, they were turning up the heat on Ricky Collins, whether it was Joe Sloan, whether it was Mike Denbrock, whether it was Frank Wilson, whether it was Cortez Hankton, whether it was Brian Polian, whether it was Brian Kelly. LSU was going full court press on Ricky Collins to allow to let him know where he stood as far as just the need for him. Rohan has been instrumental in Ricky Collins' recruitment. That's his 7-on-7 offseason coach, and really somebody that Ricky Collins, I'll never forget, we went and watched Ricky and Woodlawn play against Quincy in Madison Prep last season. I don't know if it was in the
I was
Jamboree
there.
or
It
if
was
it was in the
Jamboree.
first game of the year. I believe it was the Jamboree.
Yeah.
And, like, after the first pass of the game, like, Rohan clapped his hands from the sideline. Like, it was no disrespect to Marcus Randall and the guys. I think it was just kind of out of habit for Collins. It was very early in the year. But Rohan, like, clapped his hands on the sideline, and Ricky's head, like, snapped to Rohan, like, looked over at him. And, I mean, Rohan kind of, like, coached him up real quick. But, again, not disrespecting what the sideline at Woodlawn had going on, just to kind of give you the idea of the relationship between Rohan and Ricky Collins. There has been no commitment made, but it looks like it's trending towards LSU, right? Everybody from Jordan Arsamont to things that are happening, Sherman Wilson on social media, people are really kind of pointing towards there's good news coming down for LSU. And to pick up Collins is an enormous win, and something that I think has felt almost inevitable over the past couple of weeks, but now that it's here on the doorstep, this is big news. I mean, this is huge news for LSU, in the sense of this is back-to-back cycles where you get an elite quarterback. And as we've said, what has plagued LSU for so long is the inability to develop that position, right? You can have 4- and 5-star guys all over the field. For every Ruben Randall you get, if you don't get a quarterback that can throw him the ball, he just comes here to rot, right? I mean, and Ruben Randall is a name in a list that is long and just winding of Terrence Tolliver's wide receivers that just looked the part, played the part, had all the skill sets, just had nobody to get them the ball because the development at that position just has never been on time. The clock was always screwed up from the quarterback position. You're never able to recruit successive cycles where the guy coming in is not looked on and said, hey, man, save a game for us, win the season for us, do things that you're not supposed to be doing right now, and ultimately ruin confidence, set back the physical development, and, set back the program. Now with LSU's recruiting in cycles where you get, Garrett Nussmeier, Walker Howard, Ricky Collins, you have given yourself 8 years worth of really good football if you can hang on to those guys, develop those guys, and continue to allow them to play when they're ready. Like when they're both mentally and physically ready. For as special as Walker Howard is, and he's really an elite prospect coming out of high school, he's still not prepared to play at this level. He still has to go through some things that he either needs to see or he needs to physically develop before he gets into the fire. And a guy like Garrett Nussmeier, Miles Brennan, and Jaden Daniels gives Walker Howard a real opportunity to, get on that clock and develop at the right time. So when it's that time, he's ready to go. So it's more than anything, I love that LSU is now getting into a cycles of recruiting where they are getting a quarterback, a class that's elite, that they're bringing in with the understanding of, hey, when it's time, when you're ready, we'll have you ready to play. And none of them are coming in saying, you got to play as a true freshman. If you're special enough, you can get into the competition and you can possibly win it. But there's a lot of guys above you with experience and, skins on the wall that feel it's their time too. I think it's great for the room. It's great competition. It's local flavor. I mean, you're talking about guys. Garrett Nussmeier was born in Lake Charles. Walker Howard was born in Lafayette. And Ricky Collins was born in Baton Rouge. If LSU's winning with that formula at quarterback, it's going to be a special, next 6 to 8 year run to watch the program develop. They got it going on right now, man, as far as recruiting kind of intersecting with the season and staying on fire. The part about recruiting now is when you're hot in the offseason, you got to go out and perform in the fall. Right? Because there is a lot of people that are asking questions. What is LSU going to look like on the field? They have won the recruiting wars. They have sold the message. They have been able to, in warp speed, put a staff together, put a message together, and put a class together that looks really good on paper. Now you got to go out in the fall and you got to perform. You got to make sure that your style sells. It translates to what people see. And it's not always that the recruit's looking at wins and losses. They're looking more of how you play. What's the creativity? How people are being used? What's the play calling? What's the defensive scheme look like? All of what goes into it. So the wins and losses don't necessarily truly matter to recruits because a lot of losses will kick up recruits saying, well, if you have me, we win. So, I mean, there's ways to spin the wins and losses. It's more about, what do you look like? What's the style? What's the feeling of the team? You know, talking to the players on the team. People are, you know, still in it 6 or 7 games into the season, even though, you know, I mean, the wins and losses haven't been like you may have thought they would have gone. But great news for LSU. We're trying to track down Marcus Randall right now. I have a text into him. Actually called and gave him a voicemail, so hopefully we can see if he can get back in touch with us. Hayden Paris, LSU doesn't win titles with Louisiana quarterbacks. Malk, Flynn, and Burrow were all out-of-state guys. Yeah, I know, but you got to remember the last 4 cycles have been extraordinary as far as Louisiana terms are concerned. You know, I mean, at Nussmeier, we call a Lake Charles guy, but he spent his entire life outside of the state of Louisiana, whether it was Florida, Michigan. He ended up playing high school football over in Texas. You know, but he was born in Lake Charles. Walker Howard, obviously the son of an LSU quarterback, and Jamie Howard growing up in Lafayette, and Ricky Collins right here in Louisiana. I know that the Louisiana quarterback pipeline has never been plentiful for LSU. But when it is, LSU has to strike. And LSU has struck during these cycles where even Eli Holstein and Arch Manning are leaving the state. You get an Elite 11 quarterback. That's a win for LSU. So I get you. I mean, I know that Louisiana quarterbacks doesn't equal titles, but Louisiana's never really, you know, they've never really produced quarterbacks consistently. Speaking of quarterbacks, Joe Sloan, LSU quarterbacks coach, is the latest on our blog over at fm.co. If you want to check it out over at fm.co, Lon Sullivan dives into our interview with Coach Sloan a couple of weeks back and writes up the some of the takeaways on it, whether it was recruiting, the competition at quarterback. You can check that out right now at fm.co. That is EFFEMM, 2 E's, 2 F's, 2 M's. fm.co is where you can find it online. Check out the blog post, the latest from Lon Sullivan, and more from Lon. If you want more from Lon, check out lsuodyssey.com. lsuodyssey.com is where you can read his work over there. So it looks like Ricky Collins is getting Sloaned. We took that term out of that interview where when Joe Sloan came through here, you know, people would look up when they got to Ruston, Louisiana, and people would ask, "How'd you get here?" Some people would say, I don't know, Joe Sloan recruited me here. You know, I mean, yeah, you got Sloaned. It looks like Ricky Collins could be the latest getting Sloaned to Baton Rouge as an LSU quarterback. Tigers need a quarterback in this class, and getting Collins would be a huge win if they were able to close on him. It looks like it's trending in that direction right now as the hashtag Ricky Reconsidered is going wild all over the internet.
And if they do land Ricky Collins, if you look at it, in 2020, you get TJ Finley, who's the top quarterback in Louisiana, but you've seen the quarterback position get better as the years have gone on. You go from TJ, and then you get Walker, and then now you got Ricky Collins. Like, you've seen that Louisiana quarterback room get better. And so, I mean, if they can continue to pull a top 3 quarterback out of Louisiana, if they continue to play at this level, I mean, they're going to be set.
No doubt about it. No, I agree wholeheartedly, man. When the state gives you gold, you got to get it, right? And the quarterback recruiting room, the quarterback recruiting trail has been filled with gold over the last couple of cycles, and LSU has been able to capitalize on that. And it also gives the quarterback competition in the program, you know, the correct timeline to develop and cycle through. So that's it's good news for LSU as it looks like they are trending in the direction of closing in on a quarterback for this class, and it could be Ricky Collins right here locally from Lafayette. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by our friend Daniel Newman over at Edward Jones, edwardjones.com. You can find Daniel Newman by emailing him at daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. daniel.newman@edwardjones.com is where you can find him. If you need any physical advice, if you need any financial advice, and looking for somebody that you can trust in the market, take our word for it. Daniel Newman is the best over there in Central Louisiana, Market Square Drive over there in Central, right across from Stabs. You can get in touch with Daniel Newman. Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com. Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com is where you can get in touch with our friend today. Let him help you out. And remember, if you are working within the industrial space, if you're working out in the plants and you got some questions about your finances, Daniel's got great experience within that department, within that sector. Let him help you out today. Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com. Get in touch with him there. Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com. We will talk to our guy, Ronnie Riggs, next. Get the latest on New Orleans Saints training camp, as Paulson Adebo is a name that keeps popping up from New Orleans. If you're following some of the New Orleans beat writers, our guy like Ross Jackson and Nick Underhill, and some of the guys down there that are covering New Orleans Saints training camp, these highlights of Adebo that keep popping up, man, looks like they got themselves a steal in last season's draft. Some of the one-on-ones between him and Olave are pretty impressive to see how, those youngsters going at it. We'll talk to Ronnie Riggs, Ron DeDon, next here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Get the latest from New Orleans Saints training camp. Remember our poll questions daily, brought to you by our friends over at Southern Eye Center. Southern Eye Center is located on Jefferson Highway. Get in touch with Ann Shaw, Dr. Ann Shaw, today. If you have any questions about your eyesight, let her run some tests, very comprehensive test over there that she can run on your eyesight to check it out if you want to get over there for an eye test. And they also have name brand sunglasses for you to choose from. And if you mention the show, the Jordy Culotta Show, you'll save yourself 25% off of, like we said, top of the line sunglasses. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors,
Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacy,
Greg Brooks. Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team. Make a difference. Bet. Let's get it done.
Best athlete to come out of New Iberia, Mark Roman?
Kayshawn Buddha.
Kayshawn? Wow.
Right now, Kayshawn, and Mark was a little bit before me. I was a ball boy. When Mark was playing at New Iberia Senior High School, I played like right after Mark. But Kayshawn just has done some things, and just the things that you guys are seeing Kayshawn do, that he's not even scratching the surface of what we saw on a day-to-day basis at practice. And he's unreal. He's unreal.
He's so natural. It's so
Yeah.
so easy. It looks so easy to him.
Yes, it's so easy, and there's never been another a competitor I've ever seen like Kayshawn. Kayshawn would not lose going to eat pregame meal. He has to be the first. He is the ultimate competitor. He would not lose. So trust me, he will be ready.
Man, so kind of when I entered the transfer portal, I knew, what type of facility, what type of, program I wanted to go to. Being that before I committed to Ohio State, my first unofficial was to LSU.
Oh, wow.
And but that was when Coach O and Coach Raymond was here or whatever. But definitely the coaches, the scheme Kelly, trying to bring in, trying to implement, his way of going, like detailed person. That's where I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to be.
Did you have any experience with Coach Kelly?
No, I had no experience. No.
Really? Who was your main recruiter from LSU?
Sherman Wilson. Yeah, he was. Stay consistent. Honest. Just gave it to me straight.
Yeah.
And this is where I wanted to be.
How do you feel about that number at this university playing that position?
Yeah, man, I definitely want it. He wanted to come in and prove, to my teammates, not just the coaches, but to my teammates that I got to go play with, that, I deserve it. And once I do that, then, everything is, up from there. Yeah.
gotten yet this morning.
Me either. All good.
But Shelton at SNL Pest Services, 225-262-0496, caught a rat. So we think...
Possum.
I was about to say, I thought that was a possum.
Possum.
Nope, it was a big rat. There are no possums.
Wait,
He
did you
can't
talk to him?
They can't catch wildlife. They only put out rat
Katie,
traps.
did you?
Oh, that's right.
Only a rat was in that trap.
That's right.
And it was
That's
causing
right.
fleas.
That's
So
right.
we have a rat.
It was a huge rat.
It was a huge one. It did kind of look like a possum, but it was a huge one.
Giant
He
rats.
caught it.
Nutri-rat.
We think that might be the source of the fleas. Nothing's biting us in here yet, so we might be flea-free by the end of the week.
Call Shelton.
Flea-free.
Call Shelton.
225-262-0496, SNL Pest Services. They're like the sweetest people I've ever dealt with.
Yeah,
in
they're
my
great.
life. They're
great.
unbelievable.
They're great. I was actually walking the bike out this morning at 4:58, and Shelton came ripping down the one-way.
I knew he was coming early.
I ducked back inside because I thought somebody was about to hold the place up.
Drive by
Almost
real
let the
quick.
bike fall down the steps, shut the door.
I
Ricky,
warned you that he was coming.
Yeah, no, I forgot about it. Shelton comes ripping in. Morning guy like me, huh? I'm like, what up, Shelton?
Yeah.
I knew he was coming. I sent Jordy a text last night. I was like, just so you know, Shelton showed up at 5 a.m. I don't want you to get startled. But you got startled.
Still got started.
I'll pay the fine. The mics were on in the F-bomb. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
All right, Katie does have the details on our Caesars giveaway. We're going to talk to Ron Don, and then we're going to tell you how you can walk away here just by playing with us over at Caesars Sportsbook with a promo code that we're going to give you. That you could get a couple of tickets to an LSU football game and a great weekend experience down in New Orleans from our friends, compliments of Caesars. We'll tell you all about it coming up here. But let's go to the phone lines here on a stormy, thundering Tuesday morning here with our boy Ronnie Riggs, who has been doing bang-up work covering the New Orleans Saints training camp through the first week here. Yesterday, they put on the pads and still no Tyrann Mathieu.
What's going on?
I don't know. I don't like it.
Let's just
I don't like it. I hate to even talk about it.
Man.
I'm just going to
Stay
stay cool and calm about it. The Saints seem like they're cool about it, so I'm going to stay cool about it. Ronnie, are you there? Good morning. How are you?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Good morning. How y'all doing?
Doing all good, man. Ron, great work, buddy, down from Metairie. Let's start with the Tyrann Mathieu story. We have not talked about it a lot just because we don't want to put it into the universe. What are people talking about down there with the Badger and where he is?
So, we all heard that Tyrann's away from the team right now due to a family matter. And Dennis Allen was actually asked about it since, it's been 5 days and there hasn't really been any update. But he said what they're trying to do is they're trying to give Tyrann his own space. They're trying to let him they basically what they're saying is they want to make sure he's ready to come back. They don't want to rush him. They don't want to make him feel like he's pressured to come back. Dennis Allen said that they're going to make sure that he handles whatever he needs to handle, and they're going to be ready to welcome him back whenever he's ready.
God, dude.
What's the deal?
I don't even want to speculate.
No.
All right, dude. Paulson Adebo looks like a beast. Everybody keeps talking about this guy. What have you seen from the second-year cornerback?
Yeah, Paulson Adebo, he's just been lighting it up at camp. We talk about Lattimore, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Paulson Adebo had a great rookie year last year, and he's really carrying it over in the camp. He had a great pass breakup on Jarvis Landry on a slant route yesterday. That was really good. Paulson Adebo is really going to be the cornerback two of this team. He's really good.
Him and Olave's one-on-ones have been very impressive. What have you seen from Chris Olave that has jumped out from the first-year wide receiver?
Yeah, Olave, he looks like the 11th pick in the draft. He's winning all of his one-on-ones. He has deep game-changing speed, which is fantastic to see in person, especially considering where this wide receiver room was last year. Olave also has that competitive spirit in him. Paulson Adebo and him, they were going one-on-ones yesterday in individuals, and Adebo, the ball actually hit Adebo's visor, and Chris Olave just caught the ball one-handed.
So smooth.
The play didn't actually count because Olave was out of bounds, but still the concentration on that catch was just great to see.
Your camera work on that was fantastic, Ronnie. You were in a great spot catching that, but the smoothness that Olave just kind of picked that out of the air with, the ease that he made, that is a very difficult play to make in real time, and he made that look like he was that was like pregame warm-ups. What I loved to see yesterday was Penning and Peyton Turner going one-on-one, and those two fighting one another on day one of full pads. What have you seen from the other first-round pick, Trevor Penning, and last year's first-round pick, Peyton Turner? Look like he is standing out as well.
Yeah, so Peyton Turner, him and Ramczyk were going at it first, back and forth, and Ramczyk actually got the best of Peyton Turner. He pancaked Peyton Turner pretty bad.
What?
Peyton Turner's he's a pretty big guy, so Ramczyk, like, that was no push over him. But Trevor Penning and Peyton Turner, they were going a little back and forth. It gets heated out there. Trevor Penning said in his interview, like, it was nothing personal. It's just everybody out there competing for a spot. It was good to see some fiery competition like that on the first day of padded practice.
I love that from Penning. I mean, just the attitude alone. And yeah. Peyton Turner's had a pretty good camp here, a pretty good start to camp, right?
Yeah, Peyton Turner, he's done great in the absence of Marcus Davenport so far.
What about yesterday, Pete Werner? Big storyline. What are they expecting from Pete Werner, and where is he on his comeback? Linebacker.
So Pete Werner actually returned to practice in pads. He didn't participate in team drills, but he did participate in the walk through the stretches and individual position groups. He did participate in that. He's not fully clear for team yet, but he's in the right direction in terms of getting back out there.
And Ronnie, final one for you, buddy. Jameis Winston. How has he looked? Or how's that quarterback position looked? All in all, you've obviously got the red rifle back there, who's turning into a kind of a NOLA 504 boy with this camouflage do-rag that he's wearing. And then Ian Book, last year's selection, is running third-team quarterback. What does the quarterback position look like out there?
So Jameis, he's QB1. Right now, he looks the best. He did overthrow and underthrow a few passes, but he was the sharpest quarterback out there. Andy Dalton also looked great for a backup. If anything were to happen to Jameis, I can say that I would be confident in Andy Dalton getting the backup. Ian Book, he still has a little bit of work to do.
Ronnie, what about behind Kamara? What does the depth look like behind Kamara?
So we talked about this last time, but Mark Ingram and the energy he really brings, that's back. And in the inside run, when he hits the hole, it's just great to see, because a back like Ingram, he's not as big as he was about 4 or 5 years ago, but he's still a solid guy that can just run in there and get you a quick 5 yards on 1st and 10. They also signed Malcolm Brown from the Rams, and he was getting a few snaps as well back there.
And AK looks AK, right?
Oh yeah, smooth as ever. Makes the game look like it's in slow motion.
Big news for AK yesterday. His court case out in Las Vegas got continued, which means delayed. It was moved a couple of months to in season to October. So it definitely looks like he'll be available for at least the start of the season. We'll have to wait and see what shakes out from that court case once it actually goes into the courtroom, which we found out yesterday will not happen until October. Ronnie, keep up the great work, bro. We appreciate it.
Ronnie, I wish you could see the picture we have up of you in here.
Oh, he's seen it.
Your interview. Speaking of smooth.
He's about to look.
Yeah. All right, so later, player. Good job.
All
right, there he is.
Bye, Ron.
Ron DeDon. Follow him on Twitter and make sure you keep it up with all of our social media stuff that we got going on as far as following the New Orleans Saints down at training camp. Ronnie's doing great work.
He is doing
I don't even want to talk about this Tyrann Mathieu stuff.
No, what's the deal?
I don't know.
Y'all?
I'm out on it.
I don't know.
I don't want to talk about it.
I mean,
I don't know.
Scary.
They're just still saying it's family stuff. That's what they said.
Yeah, and I talked to, I listened to Underhill, and I talked to, obviously, I listened to Ross Jackson, and both of those guys have kind of like and they're as connected as anybody. If they don't know, then nobody knows. And the air that they are putting off when they talk about it is a sense of respect and that it's all good. You know what I mean? Like, just let it be, let him deal with it, and he'll be back. And
but when will he be back, David?
I don't know. I mean, it's the decade he's been in the league.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're talking about a 10-year vet and a player that is considered to be, if not the best at his position, one of the best at his position, a natural-born leader. So I can't imagine that these days away are sitting well with whatever he's dealing with, which I'm sure that it's taken priority to his professional life. And I'm going to respect the hell out of that for this guy because he deserves that. But I got to imagine that missing these days with whatever he is dealing with, and I'm sure that is taking the primary of his focus, is still eating him up. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, it's still somewhere crawling with him. Because if you remember when he sat here, he said, when I sign, it's done. Mm-hmm. Like, give me the playbook, and I'm out on everything. You know, it's just football, facility, playbook, teammates, all of what goes into building a team. And if something has him reprioritize right now, it's obviously a huge deal and a huge issue or a huge situation that he's dealing with, going through. So I don't even want to speculate on what it could or could not be. But still, I gotta believe that, I mean, being away from football for this guy is just paralyzing to him. I mean, it's crippling to him.
Has anyone checked his Twitter since yesterday?
Did he tweet something?
No, I'm asking if he did, since his Instagram changed a little.
We did go on to a little Psycho X dive yesterday of Stewie brought to light, which I wish you would have not done this, Stewie, because my head has been screwed up since then. I was in a good place.
So has the LSU picks up
until you told me about that he had scrubbed all of the Saints pictures off of his Instagram,
but not his Twitter.
I sprinted to Instagram and found this to be true. That Stewie in his
Stewie was right.
Psycho X dealings.
But in his bio on Instagram, did it have Saints on there before?
I think it did.
It doesn't now.
I think it did.
Like nothing is in his bio about Saints.
And then on Twitter, there's still images of him in the black and gold.
That's
so
not good,
it was not a complete scrub.
But still, any scrub is bad.
Any scrub
right?
is bad.
I mean, why take anything down?
Kyler scrubbed his whole Instagram of Arizona Cardinals, and he just got a $250 million contract. So I think we'll be all right.
But like, why? Why do you do it? Like, just out of anger, usually is why you would take things off of Instagram, right?
Or like, just like sometimes you just need a little cleanse.
Well, no, like if you break up with somebody or you're in a fight with somebody, you're gonna like take their stuff off of your Instagram, right?
He's still following.
Or some people do.
On Instagram.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Good find there, Noah. That'll bring me back a little bit. Yeah. That'll pep me up a little bit. That'll pep me up.
But we have to be psycho for this.
No, I'm in the mode right now. Call him again.
Call
him again.
Yeah.
Hang up. Call him again.
What if we called him
straight to voicemail? Call him again. Until it rings, keep calling.
Call him off your phone. See if he answers your number.
I mean, what if he did? I'd be like,
oh, you're live.
Where are you?
Can you come home, please?
What's going on, man?
That would be amazing if
we're outside. Come get in the car. Let's go. We're going to camp.
That's how it goes down on the JC show. He answers the phone.
He's like, "What's up, Jordy?"
Yeah.
Oh God, man.
That would be great. All right.
I mean, for as good as they look,
right,
and for as much as the Olave, Paulson Adebo, the Jameis to Jarvis daily shots I'm getting, Alvin Kamara doing his footwork drills. I mean, all of this stuff that you're feeding me, I really just want to see Tyrann Mathieu out there, bro. Like,
it's like you got all these drugs. Like, I want this specific.
Yeah, right. But do you have this?
Give me the hard stuff.
No. I don't have that. Okay, all right.
Yeah, we'll find a new guy.
We'll be back to bed. All right, Katie, we got some cool stuff coming up, including a New Orleans Saints preseason game giveaway and LSU opening weekend giveaway from our friends over at Caesars. Let them know how they can get
involved. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app, and then you enter the specific promo code, and I'll put this in the chat too, but the LSU one is JCLSU15.
All right, let's put that on the screen. JCLSU15.
And I have a link also, and I'll stick that in the chat because if you click that link, it'll take you right to the landing page on the app, and the promo code will already be there for you. The Saints one is JC Saints15. New customers only is the deal, y'all. So if y'all already signed up on the Caesars app with us before, you can't enter to win this. So do it under like another email or your wife's name or your husband's name or whatever. New customers only. If the qualifying wager, I feel like I have to read this really fast.
Why? Because it's a disclaimer.
It's a disclaimer.
If their qualifying wager is greater than the loss, right?
How long is it?
I pasted it for you. It's pretty long. I guess we could just paste it.
Yeesh.
It's so long, y'all. But there are lots of disclaimers. You can't put your bets down across multiple bets. Awards free bet is a one use token. New users with eligible promo code only. So just remember that. You got to do a different email address if you already signed up on our app for us using our regular promo code. But in the meantime, JCLSU15, that's 4 tickets for LSU Florida State game.
Let's go.
And JC Saints 15, also 4 tickets for the Saints preseason game, August 28th. It was 26th, wasn't it? And they moved it. Is that right?
Late August.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about preseason.
It's the
football.
only Saints preseason home game.
It's the only Saints preseason.
It's the only Saints. I think it's the and I think it's the Chargers.
Is
August
it?
26th.
Okay.
August 26th. August 26th.
Okay.
So use the promo codes
I just put the links in there, too.
Saints 15 or JCLSU 15. If you're a Saints fan, obviously you want Saints giveaways. Use the Saints promo code JC Saints 15. If you're looking for 4 tickets to opening weekend LSU versus Florida State on Labor Day weekend, here's an opportunity to walk away with 4 from Caesars Sportsbook. All you have to do is use the promo code JCLSU15. JCLSU15 will get you signed up and get you entered to win an opportunity for 4 preseason tickets to a Saints game and then 4 LSU opening weekend tickets to LSU Florida State.
And we'll be there.
Absolutely.
Too,
Everybody
so
will
y'all
be there.
can hang out with us.
It'll be a great weekend for sports in South Louisiana.
It will.
The game's September 5th?
4th.
September 4th. So this will be the weekend before. The Saints preseason game will be the weekend before, and then LSU will play on the Sunday, September 4th.
And Caesars will randomly pick winners. So when that happens, we will announce that for y'all.
Get your tickets.
Get the promo codes now. JC Saints 15, JCLSU 15. Ticket giveaways from our friends over at Caesars Sportsbook and Caesars Sportsbook app. Make sure you download the app.
And you can also still enter our regular promo code.
FM15.
FM15. Like, don't forget about that if y'all haven't signed up for that yet to place a $1,500 risk-free bet.
And that is the letter F, the letter M, 15 is the promo code there. All right, we got some programming coming up throughout the day, throughout the weekend here that we want to get you caught up on, and also wanted to promote tomorrow's voicemail and mailbag segment. If you have any questions, get them inside the chat. Hashtag mailbag. If you have a voicemail, remember to dial the number. Just store this number into your phone. Put it under the JC Show. 225-229-7741. We remember it by Willie Rofe and Alvin Kamara.
You remember it like that.
That's how I remember everything in life. Rofe Kamara. 225-229 Rofe Kamara. 225-229-7741 is the phone number. Call, leave a voicemail. Tomorrow you can call and be live between 7 and 9 a.m. if you want, whenever we take our mailbag segment. We just ask you to have a take and don't suck. We know that we ripped that off from Jim Rome, but I love it. It's a little ode to the past there of radio. When he would tell his listeners, yeah, man, come on in. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Just don't suck. Hey, am I on? Are we on? Hello, how are you? I mean, come on, man. Everybody, yeah, you're on. Everybody's good here. Get to the point. What's your question? What's your take? Get to something that sticks, and if it's good, we'll debate it. We'll go back and forth. Maybe you might even make a show topic out of it. So have a take, don't suck, even on the voicemails. We'll play the voicemails tomorrow. If you have a question, ask them. So jump inside of the chat with your hashtag mailbag. Caesar Sportsbook giveaway, as we just promoted, that's going to be awesome. Both down in New Orleans, Saints preseason game opportunity and LSU opening weekend versus Florida State. So if you want to, remember, check out those promo codes. They're right there. JCLSU15 and JC Saints 15 is where you can jump in and enter to win. Yesterday, big news in the NFL. Deshaun Watson was going to be and has been ruled to be suspended 6 games, no fine levied against Watson on this. And this came through arbitration. This came through a judge that was brought on from an arbitration standpoint to come in as a neutral party and levy down the suspension here. It's interesting over the last 12 hours, just kind of reading and listening to some of the media around this. I mean, we've seen the NFL really come down heavy-handed on punishment in things in the past. Most notably, I think everybody's talking about Calvin Ridley being suspended for the season after being caught placing a bet on an NFL game. Obviously, very serious in its action, but when the NFL is in bed with all of these gambling entities and has a team in Vegas, you knew it was only a matter of time before some of this stuff started to leak over, between player and establishment. And, to see Calvin Ridley missing, a regular season worth of games and an entire, annual salary for betting on a game, betting on an NFL game, and seeing the comparison of Deshaun Watson missing 6 games with no fine. Remember, Deshaun Watson collected every cent of his contract last season standing on the sidelines in Houston. He was kind of out of sight and, not out of mind, but he, stayed kind of out of the spotlight as a franchise quarterback and paid like that. Never gave up any game checks or never missed any game, payments for where he was last season. And then this year, the suspension, 6 games, comes back for a Sunday night tilt versus Joey B and the Bengals at home in Cleveland. And no fine. He'll miss, obviously, the game checks. He'll miss $375,000 in game checks. Oh, man. $375. I mean, if you would have told him 6 months ago, you'll miss 6 games and lose $375 in game checks, he would have sprinted to that contract to sign, right? And as we said yesterday, the big winners in this, and nobody really wins, man. I mean, females, harassment victims, sexual violent victims. This was a terrible message yesterday sent by the NFL to the public, really. But as we have seen in the past, the NFL doesn't care. And the reason why the NFL is not coming down with the heavy hand here is simple. Because their own employees are the worst ones. I mean, if I'm Deshaun Watson and you suspend me for a year and you fine me, I'd say, well, what you going to do with Jerry Jones or Daniel Snyder or Robert Kraft? Well, what do you mean? Well, I mean, Robert Kraft was paying for happy endings in a shopping center in Orlando. This guy was rolling up in a Bentley to a shopping center, keeping it running in the parking lot while he was going in and getting tugged off for happy endings in a local massage parlor. They got him on film. Jerry Jones knocked up a stewardess that came back 18 years later looking for cash on a kid that she had with him.
They got the happy ending on film?
I don't know if they have the happy ending on film. Whoa. But it was a sting. They got him popped. They popped him. They popped him.
I mean, it's there. The evidence is there.
Yeah,
they got the billionaire. You know what I mean?
Oh, they popped him for sure.
And then Daniel Snyder has been running an organization that, it might as well be a brothel. You know what I mean? There were females scared to come out of their office when he was heard walking up and down the halls just because of some of the comments that they would make that would be made to them in public.
Like that dress.
Just some of the stuff that they were living in and having to deal with, and that the NFL ultimately covered up. I mean, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago when Snyder was summoned and subpoenaed by Congress. The guy was at Wimbledon.
I was going to say, did he not show up?
He didn't. Not only did he not show up, he's sitting in a box in Wimbledon for the whole world to see while Goodell is sitting on the stand taking bullets, for one of his guys. Now look, you pay Goodell $60 million a year to hold the shield, right? I mean, like, hey man, sorry buddy, you know what I mean? You get to fly private air, you get all the perks. You also got to go sit in front of Congress and tell them why, our sexually charged environments that we're trying to, like look up everybody's skirt all day. I mean, like, this Rich Dalrymple scene in Dallas. I mean, have you read this stuff that Jerry Jones paid his 33-year veteran of marketing and public relations in the Dallas Cowboys organization was caught on a draft feed by a fan holding a mirror underneath Jerry Jones's daughter's skirt in the draft room.
Wait, You're kidding.
No.
Holding a mirror.
I'm confused.
And trying to look up
so
who is this at this point the Jones female, I forget her name. I think it's like Trisha. I forget her name. She's a vice president within the Cowboys organization. I mean, like, he's ultimately her boss, his boss, and Dalrymple. They start kind of like digging into Dalrymple's past. He's been caught spying on the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders in their locker room a couple of times that Jones was trying to cover up. They had to pay like $2.5 million to the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders to make this thing go away. There was a fan in Shreveport, Louisiana that called the Dallas Cowboys organization and said, I saw on your stream feed, this guy's a psychopath fan that's watching the war room for the draft and watching like the interaction between the executives of the Dallas Cowboys. And while he's sitting there, you know what I mean? Like just watching nothing.
Yeah, like a psycho.
Exactly. He spots Dalrymple like trying to look up Jones's skirt.
That's bizarre.
Jerry Jones's daughter. And like he called the Cowboys and was like, y'all might want to look into this.
Oh my God.
And Jones had to like come. The story is almost like it's so Hollywood where you would be like, this is a movie.
Yeah.
Like this is incredible. You know what I mean? But like Dalrymple was like one of the first hires that Jerry Jones made. In fact, I believe he was the sports information director at the University of Miami with Jimmy Johnson. You might want to check that out. And I'd imagine being the PR director for the Dallas Cowboys has to be, if not the best job in that trade, one of top 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'd imagine like world businesses, international businesses, like the New York Yankees, the Dallas Cowboys. If I'm the marketing director, the PR director for those brands, that is a powerful position.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? Like if my responsibility is to guard and protect Jerry Jones, brother, you got a big task.
Yeah.
I'm paying you a lot of money to protect my brand. So when I fly private with stewardess that I'm having sex with 30,000 feet above, reality, you better make sure that stuff doesn't get out into the public. And if it does, it would only be when the kid turns 18.
Right.
Right? And you better print me up another NDA.
It wasn't a mirror. It was his phone.
No way.
So he's taking pictures.
So he had his phone, like, I'm guessing, like, kind of like this.
Is she hot?
I mean, I'm sure it was a cheerleader, but he had his phone like
No. This is Jerry Jones's daughter. Oh, he got caught spying on the cheerleaders.
I know the cheerleaders are hot.
The cheerleading story is he's like a locker room. He like goes into, and like the locker room has a portion of it, like when you open the door, it's blocked off by a wall.
It has a little corner.
It has like a corner you would have to turn to get into the locker room.
Oh, so he saw
and one of the girls sees a hand coming out of the wall and goes like turns his head, and she's like, this is like an executive with the team. I mean, like, and she's like, and he's like, oh, my bad, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong place, and opens the door as if he leaves, closes it, stays in the room. This guy is like a stage 10 pervert.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
he's
Like
hot.
can't help himself.
Yes.
You're about to lose your job with the Dallas Cowboys, bro.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you're about to be done, and stays in there, and like the chick is like, I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and goes postal like she should.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing, bro?
Right.
Like, you got some issues, man.
Yeah.
I'm about to turn you in. You know.
Oh,
And Jones tried to cover it up for like
of course.
2 years.
Yeah.
3 years.
We need the guy.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
You
He
talking about
tried to
Rich?
cover it up.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't he try
Rich
to
wouldn't
cover
do
it up?
that.
Yeah. He tried to look up your daughter's skirt, Jerry. He's like, what?
I mean, she looks good.
We're at the Super Bowl. You know?
What's her name? Trisha Jones? Is
I don't-
that what you
I
said?
don't know.
It's Charlotte Jones.
Charlotte.
Anderson.
She looks like a Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Big Texas hair.
Oh yeah. Charlotte Jones Anderson. Oh yeah, she's pretty.
But, you know.
Judge.
I mean,
So the reason why Deshaun Watson got 6 games is because Deshaun's bosses are more perverted than that guy is.
she's older.
I mean, I saw the language in his contract.
She's a perfect sugar
Deshaun's
mama.
language in his contract. He can only get massages from Cleveland Browns personnel.
That's the best part
He's
about
gonna
it.
find the hottest trainer they have.
like,
Hey, come see.
yeah, right.
Rub my towel this time too. Rub this close right here. My groin's actually hurt.
Oh, my
I'm gonna flip
gosh.
over now. Here, hold this towel.
Oh jeez.
Did you see the Brown fans yesterday? Lined up, droves for Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun,
I mean-
we hate you. Probably
Well,
had
are
like
they being
signs out there.
supportive?
10
No.
years, yeah.
They're
support.
being supportive. Yeah.
I'm sure that there is a section that is.
It has to be.
I got 3 text messages last night from people that were listening, I guess, to yesterday's show, that were, you know, like talking like, Jordy, don't fool yourself. You could easily pull for Deshaun Watson. Talking about the Saints like dodging a huge bullet.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
missing out on the Deshaun
I don't
Watson
have a problem with
sweepstakes.
Deshaun Watson. I don't know. I mean, I know enough of the story, but there's a lot out. I mean, I don't believe both sides for sure. I don't believe every one of those women. I just
see.
don't.
It's just too much.
It's a lot.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
if you looked
People
at
come
what
out of the
she,
woodwork.
if you looked at what the judge ruled on, she only ruled on 5 cases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's a
she
female
on-
judge.
She was a female judge, and she was, you know, I mean, an arbitrator by law. I mean, I don't want to get into these discussions. I'm sure there's a lot of lawyers inside of the chat. Y'all can help me out. But these are like neutral parties. Like
Yeah.
it's not like they're going into the case with a lot of it unknown, right? Like they're
Yeah.
going like listening to both sides, and you know, she made a ruling.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I feel about it. That might be unpopular with the women
I'm
folk,
not gonna
but
say it. I mean, I don't have a problem with Deshaun Watson, but I mean, what he did was kind of wrong. It's pretty wrong. Pretty wrong.
but if he did that
I
much,
mean, like you also got to look at the owner situation
Yeah.
too. It's like you can't take that out of account.
right?
Well, I mean,
They
like
didn't suspend
even
them.
Right.
even the Houston Texans owner was covering this up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So-
they obviously knew something was going on in the sense of they were showing up to these massages with NDAs intact, and with team security. Like, yo, I'm just trying to get a massage, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Deshaun Watson's
I don't need to be.
security
Yeah, I don't need to,
Right.
like what's about to happen. You know, like,
He has
know
a
what's
mean-
about
bunch
to
of papers.
right. Well,
And a
you're gonna
towel.
rub on him for about 20 minutes, and he's gonna roll over and make it really uncomfortable and ask you some really weird questions, and you know, ask you to finish him off if you don't mind.
Go ahead. He brought his own towel.
Yeah, will you sign this real quick? That this never happened? Like, I mean, I guess.
It's like he,
I mean, like,
it's like he finishes
How
and he's
much?
like, "This never happened. Here you go. Sign this."
but I really am kind of, you know, I think that the Saints have stayed relevant, competitive, and even in Super Bowl contention without selling their soul.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, I get it. You know, I mean, I know that the NFL machine is going to continue on, and that is going to, you know, it's going to just, the eyeballs are going to be on the product, and I will be watching Deshaun Watson versus Joe Burrow on Deshaun Watson's first game back. I'll be watching it. You know what I mean? I'm not
Oh, yeah,
I'm
that
not
is
here
the
to say
game,
that.
right? That's number 8.
What's that?
That's his first game.
That's
back?
his first game back.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
That's game 8, right?
It would be game 7.
oh.
It would be
okay.
week 7 because he
Okay.
suspended the first 6
Yeah,
weeks of the
okay.
season. In week 7, Cleveland is going to host Cincinnati on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man,
Like,
that's gonna be
wow,
amazing.
look how that worked out.
Right.
NFL knows what they're doing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they do.
You say she's an arbitrator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Pulls back that black robe to reveal the shield.
You know how Raj is.
Right. It's part of the dog pound. 6 games, no fine. Like, oh, thank you, Judge.
Face painted, half orange, half white.
Right.
In those 6 games, they play
One
Panthers,
division opponent, right?
Jets, Steelers, Falcons, Chargers, Patriots.
So is that one division? Is it Pittsburgh the only
Steelers
divisional
are the
opponent?
only divisional opponent.
Deshaun might be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, like, really and truly.
With Baker Mayfield.
I don't know.
Yeah, Kitty. We forget.
That should definitely get him talking. That should definitely get him talking, if nothing else. We gave you the great promo code from our friends over at Caesars, as they're giving you a chance to go to a Saints preseason game on August 26th. 4 tickets for Saints in that preseason matchup, and then also an opportunity to go to LSU Florida State at the Caesars Superdome. That you can walk away with 4 tickets. All you got to do is use the promo code JCLSU15 if you're looking for the LSU giveaway, or JC Saints15 for the New Orleans Saints giveaway. We're also got some future bets there as well. I'm taking over Cleveland Browns winning 9.5 games. Caesar Sportsbook right now has Cleveland's win total at 9.5 games. Jacoby Brissett is Cleveland's backup. Noah just rattled off the first 6. I think that he can get through there at a 500 clip, 3-3. Hand the keys back over to Deshaun in week 7, and now you got yourself a franchise quarterback, which has been a year and a half on the shelf.
Yeah.
Away from the game. Some people can spin that as a negative. I'll spin that as a positive. I think from a physical standpoint, gives you an opportunity to really recharge. From a mental standpoint, you don't see the speed of it, and it'll probably take, Deshaun Watson a minute for the speed to really kind of get underneath him. But this is also a high-level football player that has played at a high level for a long time, and his body being able to stay away from the game, I think, is more important and more valuable to what that'll mean for him coming back. I think mentally he'll be as sharp as a football player as he's ever been. And don't get it twisted, man. Look, we can talk about what's going on off the field and what we think of Deshaun. On the field, dude's a stud.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, like, he's one of probably 7 or 8 quarterbacks on the entire planet that can change the trajectory of your organization immediately.
Gave Nick Saban fits.
Absolutely.
Fits in
Absolutely.
that 2016 game.
Fits.
And they do.
Couldn't stop him.
The Browns and Saints play on Christmas Eve.
Really?
The Saints play in Cleveland.
Ugh,
Christmas Eve.
disgusting.
Probably going to be snowing.
Cold and wet. I mean, even Deshaun, bro,
imagine.
like, how much? $24 million. Oh,
I guess.
damn it. Type of thermals y'all have
Who
up
does
there,
he have
man.
to throw to? That's what I need to know. Who does
Amari Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, poor Amari. Golly, you could see him. He was like the kid at the school, like in the window driving by, looking at Dallas.
Like, damn. Look
Damn,
at Zeke.
man.
Look at Dak.
Pick me up.
At least he has a good quarterback, Like, he went from Dak to
Yeah.
Deshaun.
No doubt.
Not from Dak to Baker.
Did they still have the big tight end?
Yeah.
In Gobway?
Njoku?
Njoku.
He's a beast.
Mm-hmm. He signed a big contract, too.
Yeah. All right, let's talk some LSU football with our boy Brody Miller. Remember to jump inside and hit that hit that like button, share button, comment button, if you don't mind. That really helps us out. And remember, daily, we are brought to you by our friends over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Get in touch with Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works today. They can help you out with any of your plumbing needs. They are number 1 and a number 2 business. We tell you about our friend Gerald Nichols, who is a loyal listener of the show. Got in touch with our friend Jude Barker and the crew over there. He dialed 225-776-2431. He mentioned the show and saved himself 15% over there. Got a couple of trucks working East Baton Rouge Parish every single day, so you can get in touch with Barker Brothers if you got something over here that you need some help with. Dependable, great pricing, very reliable. Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Get in touch with our friends over there, 225-776-2431. Mention the Jordy Culotta Show and save yourself 15%. Number 1 and number 2 business. They got experienced carpenters and plumbers on staff, which means for your next industrial or residential remodel of any kind, Get in touch with Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. 225-776-2431. No social media, no website. They don't need one. Get in touch with them today. Mention the show. Save 15%. We're back with Brody Miller talking LSU football.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
We've seen the BK takeover stuff from LSU and social media, and really in his short time in Baton Rouge, there's been a lot of people embracing his approach to building this roster. What's it like to recruit alongside him?
Oh, it's been great. Coach has been awesome to me because he lets me be myself when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to coaching. He lets his coaches coach, he lets his coaches recruit. So I have no complaints on that end. And when I need him to get in touch with a kid, he's there for me. The communication line has been great. He's just been nothing but supportive.
But this opportunity was different. You have a chance to come to a place with unbelievable tradition, work for the winningest head coach in college football. Just be at a state. I've never been at a state where football's king, and if you just dominate your state, you're going to get some of the best players that there are.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think, getting through spring, I mean, most of it was obviously just installing the offense. And I think all 4 guys really made some strides in terms of that and showed a lot of positives. Obviously, which, you guys get to talk about all the time. So you guys,
Sure.
But all 4 have done a great job. They did. I think they really did a really nice job in spring of taking strides forward individually, and everybody's different in terms of what they need to get better at and what they need to show. And then move it into summer, and I love the way they're working right now in the weight room for Coach Flint. But like I said, I think spring a lot was everything was new for everybody. So especially at the beginning, there wasn't as much evaluation, say the first few days, get into the flow, and then I think we got some good opportunities for some guys to get some reps, and I think everybody showed some positives.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Sports with it.
It's just like anything else. I mean, I don't want to get into hyperbole, but it's, everything is. I mean, frankly, I'm still worried more about concussions. We don't talk about it much anymore, but, we've kind of helped solve it in a lot of ways and make the game a lot safer. So anytime we have existential threats, which this one could or could not be, we just deal with it, and we will deal with it. It's just part of the game. And, I don't mind a lot of what's come out of this movement of doing more for the student athletes, but like anything else, it boomerangs a little too far, and you got to swing it back into, hey, what we do for the student athletes, and it's a hell of a lot, and I'm proud of that fact that we are leaders in doing that, but we're going to do it right. The Tiger Athletic Foundation and in partnership, obviously, hand in hand with what we do, funded a master plan study because I wanted to see, hey, what we needed, and I just didn't want my opinion. I've been a few places, and I have a good one, I think, but you just want to see how and what our needs are, and so we're in that process of looking at it, and obviously the PMAC is 50 years old this year, and probably needs some updating. It's got good bones, and maybe we can see what we can do with that. Same thing with all that property that we have both down Nicholson and where we are currently on Nicholson and North Stadium. Is that, hey, is this the proper use and best use for that? Mm-hmm. And hand in hand with the university and what we do with TAF, we'll make those decisions, and we'll be prudent and thinking about what and how we do. Yeah, it's kind of weird in a perverse way, Jordy. You know me well, is that I kind of relish in change, and I do like it. I'm one of the few people that embraces it, and we're very lucky at LSU to have it, to be where we are and to be able to do that. I mean, I can't say that for everyone in the business because it is unsettling in a lot of ways. But for us, change is a good thing, and I think we're going to be the beneficiary of it. And it's not gonna stop. It's just going to keep on going. Yeah. And I'd be lying to you if I told you I had a crystal ball and can tell you what was going on and what's going to happen. But we're going to be here, and we're going to embrace it, and we're going to take advantage of it the best we can. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Big news right now happening on social media and all throughout recruiting. It looks as if Baton Rouge native Ricky Collins has reopened his recruiting. He put out a message on Twitter last night that he was decommitting from the University of Purdue, where he had been long time committed. He has also been a top target for LSU football. Obviously, Tigers start camp here tomorrow, as they will report. They'll be on the field here in the next couple of days and kind of steamrolling towards Florida State and getting ready for the opener coming up on September 4th. But a lot of recruiting news and a lot of stuff happening around the program. We want to catch up with one of the best who covers them, man. You got to be following Brody Miller right now on Twitter if you're looking for the latest in LSU football. We always urge you to get that Athletic subscription where you can read his work. He's got inside stuff that you can only get through being a subscriber to the Athletic. Very easy to do that here as college football season approaches. We link back up with fresh off of vacation and energized for the season. It was good to see you down in Atlanta a couple of weeks back. Hopefully you are fully charged up and ready for college football season as it is here, my friend. Good morning. How are you?
I am doing well, man. It was a much-needed vacation, so now I'm feeling great. Like you said, I'm charged up. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, buddy. Recruiting obviously has dominated the offseason, and last couple of weeks, LSU's been on a heater. It looks as if their quarterback target, who turned out to be an Elite 11 guy, and Ricky Collins out of Woodlawn, is now back on the market. How do you feel about LSU's chances? Are they going to Sloan this guy or what?
I do think they're probably going to Sloan this guy, using your term. I think that was, I think we all kind of, as much as Ricky Collins was out there confidently saying, I am committed to Purdue, that's not changing, I think all of us in the back of our mind kept thinking, but just it's easy to say that, but what happens when LSU is putting a full court press on you? It's just easier, and his relationship, as you know, goes back with Sloan to Louisiana Tech, it's easier said than done. So obviously they put the full court press on this weekend at Bayou Splash, and you immediately see it. And I think it's big news for LSU. One, obviously it's well documented. They didn't get either of the 5-star quarterbacks they wanted. Brock Glenn's going to Ohio State. And I do think LSU had some work to do to I think Ricky Collins, there's a little bit of that element of, hey, I'm not your first choice. Purdue's making me the first choice. I do think they had to overcome that a little, but it seems like they've fixed that problem, made up a lot of ground. And he's a really interesting guy to have in there, if they get him, of course, as kind of that. It's hard to, I don't want to downplay him. He's a really good 4-star prospect, but as that kind of gritty guy with swagger to kind of go in there with Nussmeier and Howard. So LSU does seem to be in a great spot.
Brody, so many times you've written about it. It would be my storyline, whether talking on the radio or on this platform, of the mismanagement of LSU's quarterback room. They've had 4 and 5 stars littered all over the field. They couldn't get the quarterback position right, and it really started in recruiting. And now it seems like they've set up these consecutive cycles of top-end guys. If you just want to go over the last 3, Garrett Nussmeier, Walker Howard. If they're able to land Ricky Collins, that is 3 elite quarterbacks in 3 successive classes. How much have you seen them change the direction of that room since you've been covering LSU football?
It's true, and obviously credit goes to Ed Ogeron's staff as well there because, and shoot, you could even, I mean, Miles Brennan was like a top, 150? Yeah. You know, there does seem to be a change and just kind of, and a lot of that is just simply modernizing the offense, right? Suddenly quarterbacks actually want to come here. You do it, you feel like you can go to the pros. The Joe Burrow effect helps. But there's also something weird. This has been one of the state's most, and by the way, you're seeing an offensive tackle too, which is very weird. It's the state that pretty much developed quarterbacks as little as any major recruiting state in the country. Same with offensive tackle. And suddenly, Garrett, you are just on a run of them. Brennan had Louisiana connections. Garrett Nussmeier considers himself a Lake Charles native, even though with his dad he moved all over. So that's another basically cheating Louisiana guy. Walker Howard, and then Ricky Collins. And probably there's a better story I need to work on like why suddenly there's this wave of them. But that is really interesting that suddenly there's good Louisiana quarterbacks. LSU's at least in position, and we're not even mentioning Arch Manning and Eli Holstein. So absolutely, I think that's a big part of it. But also, to your point, credit to Joe Sloan, credit to the staff and how they've developed these relationships. And now that room is stacked for the foreseeable future.
Brody, do you think they saw enough in the 15 practices to know who their guy is going in right now, or do you believe that this competition is truly wide open? Quarterback spot.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I'm struggling with this because they are pretty adamant that they, at least just what I'm hearing, they don't know, and you hear things about how in the spring, they weren't really doing it was more just installation. They weren't figuring out who's best at running the offense and catering things, and I do believe that, but I also believe that human nature, they probably know to some extent who if it were today, who it would be. I just don't necessarily know who that is. But yeah, there's always the politics of this stuff. There's always keeping everyone happy. So I totally believe it's possible they know who the guy is. I'm sure who's better through that spring, but I don't know at this point. To me, I flat out don't know.
That is going to be the fiercest competition on the field. We'll be reporting and writing about it every single day. Outside of that one, what competition are you looking at?
It's funny because, all spring I was talking about corner, but I don't feel that way as much anymore just because if they're healthy, Bernard Converse and Seven Banks seem like they're the outside corners, right? O-line is definitely an interesting one, but that one's weird because it's I do kind of like the top 8 or 9 guys. I just don't know who the 5 are. And that's totally one of them. But just to mix it up, just for the fun, what about, I feel like we don't talk enough about nose tackle, just in the sense that, by the way, it's a strength. This isn't a problem. The answer might be they just play 50-50, but isn't there something kind of weird with how Jaquelin Roy is this first round pick prospect? He's on award list. By the way, I'm a big Jaquelin Roy guy. I think he's a stud, but he's now at nose, which you wouldn't think of that as his most natural position. And in spring, half of the spring, Jacoby and Guillory was the starter, and they kind of split time. Guillory looks more like a true nose, and this isn't a problem by any means, but I'm just so fascinated what they do with Jaquelin Roy, who that starting nose tackle is, what Matt House wants this defense to really be. Maybe wants more athleticism inside, but that's just an under the radar one. That's obviously a strength, and so no one's worrying about it. I'm just so fascinated, the Jaquelin Roy thing right now.
Yeah. What do you make of this running back position going into this week, going into the fall?
Yeah, I think it's in good shape, right? I don't know if I put in the class of the receivers or the D-line or anything like that, but it's in good shape because I think John Emery is clearly the guy, and they expect him to have that all-SEC kind of caliber season they've been hoping for 3 years. But then behind it, yeah, they're just deep. I mean, they're at a point where you can lose Corey Kiner, and I don't think you blink, even though he's a heck of a player. So, we don't really know what to expect from Noah Cain. I do think, he's a guy who had injury problems, wasn't exactly very productive at Penn State. So it's you kind of have, I don't know what to expect, but he adds a power back. That's a different element. But Armani Goodwin, to me, looks at times like the clear second best. But, and I think Trey Bradford gets forgotten because he doesn't have that one special thing, but he's a really productive back. Point being, I just think it's a really deep area. I think you got a lot of options. My guess is Emery's clearly the main guy, but I think those 2, 3, 4 guys still rotate quite a bit and see the field.
Outside the guys that you saw in spring, and I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot here, but the true freshman class coming in, Is there an expectation for you outside of like the Will Campbells and the Emory Joneses, maybe even like the Harold Perkins, that you kind of anticipate making an impact?
Yeah, it's a great question. And Jordy, you've never been afraid to put anyone on the spot. Come on now. But I think a decent one would be Quincy Wiggins, right?
Yep.
I don't think he's going to start just because of how loaded that D-line is. But could you totally see a scenario where he ends up being that backup in one of the end spots? Totally. I mean, he's a dude and he has experience now. And that's not – I mean, they're pretty deep, so I don't know if you need him to play. But I think that's a fun one to watch. And I think that those are probably the main ones that would jump out. I'm trying to think. I mean, Demario Tolan would be another. Again, linebacker's okay.
You know what
Perkins
I kind of like is Ibieta.
Yeah.
Is Landon Ibieta.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily because the wide receiver, it's like Quincy. You don't necessarily need him because the wide receiver room is so stacked. I think he brings a specialty that he could be a gunner on a specialist. He could return kickoffs. He could return punts. He's just kind of a wild card out there.
No, I love that pick. Because you know how it goes. Like, there's the guys that are highly rated, and there's the guys that the staff will just tell you privately, like, that dude just knows how to play football, and they love him. And he was absolutely in that camp. And to your point, he's not going to be in the main rotation at receiver. But at the same time, as much as we talk about how loaded that receiver room is, and it's after 5 or 6, right? Then there's kind of like, all right, what is it? You know, they're not like 8 deep like most years. So he could see the field at receiver too. So I love that pick. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I think it's a good call.
Another intriguing spot for me is linebacker. And you and I had a chance to get to hear Mike Jones and followed him around a couple of weeks back. He seems in a great mental spot right now for where he is. What do you make of that position? Because I think a lot of people have expectation around Greg Penn.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's kind of in that probably the running back zone, right, where it's like I feel solid about it. I don't know what the upside is right now, and I think it's kind of hard to calculate that upside because there's so little, clear experience snaps in terms of just seeing them at LSU. But yeah, Mike Jones played really high-level football those last 4 or 5 games, and he's clearly a leader. We shouldn't make nothing of the fact that they sent him to media days because he is just a guy they trust. He's a SWAT team leader. They love Mike Jones, and I think that means that gives you a stability. And then Greg Penn, I mean, we've talked about him for a year here, but he's just a really impressive player who, if that's your starting 2, I think you have a lot of upside and you're excited. But my favorite thing is when a team, though, you have 4 starters, right? And it's like, okay, Micah Baskerville is the afterthought now, and that guy's a 2-year off-and-on starter who is a solid football player. Harold Perkins is a number 8 player in the country. Demario Tolan. Then we forget about your West Weekses and your Colby Fields. So I feel really good about the rotation there. I still don't know what the upside is because we just have so little evidence. But yeah, I feel really solid about that room because I love the idea of being able to ease Perkins in and let him rotate in without throwing him into the starting lineup. That's the dream when you have a prospect like that.
What do you expect from the offensive line?
So I think the floor is going to – I think I've said this on your show too many times, but I think my term is always – I think the floor is going to be much higher than it was the last year, last 2 years, right? Sure. I think they have 8 or 9 guys who you feel comfortable with. I think you have options that you can rotate around. There's depth, at least, I think, in a way. You have no idea what that starting 5 is going to be. You have no idea. I don't love the upside of that room in 2021, I guess, or 2022 is the best way to put it, where Will Campbell's a freshman, a stud freshman, but he's a freshman. Mm-hmm. I think Garrett Dellinger earns a spot, either guard or tackle, but it's just one of those things where you have a lot of pieces that you're okay with. I don't know how many pieces you love. And Kelly's even talked about how, hey, we're going to be solid, but that's the room that needs to get it going the most. So, yeah, if you ask me, we did a segment on our podcast, Hold That Podcast yesterday, where we're just like, list your starting 5. And Chris Branch and I had completely different starting 5s, but I think it's not concrete. But again, just to repeat myself one more time, I do think it's steady.
Yeah. Brad Davis was here a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned Marlon Martinez's name as a possible center. That threw me off. That surprised me. Did that catch you off guard?
He had told us that in March, and I think, and that's the bummer of him missing spring, is I'm a huge Marlon Martinez guy. I think last year he was the guy who maybe wasn't as talented as others, but just played, I don't know, blocked well. God, I'm stupid, but yeah, I really like Marlon Martinez a lot. He's versatile, and I think if I was making my ideal O-line, if he proves he can play center well enough, I think your ideal line is he's your starting center. Maybe I think they either Bradford or Dellinger's your guard. I think that's your dream scenario. So yeah, I think Marlon Martinez. I think Turner at least is solid enough that if Martinez isn't the perfect center right away, you don't have to force him and let him play guard. But I think your ideal scenario is Martinez at center.
You expect Kayshawn to be Kayshawn?
Man, it's a good question just because, like you can't just write off, the fact that like, hey, he's coming off an injury, a bad injury. You can't write off that, whatever happened this spring and winter, it was maybe, all that stuff. You don't want to just write it off and assume like he's just going to be the best receiver in the country. But him, you would assume he also should be progressing. So it's this weird balance. Yes, I do think, one, he's going to have better help around him. That's a really good receiver room. That should help him. His numbers might not be the same, but I think he's going to be a star receiver. So I don't know if he's going to be the Heisman candidate superstar that he was probably on the path to be. But yes, I do think he should be one of the best receivers in the SEC.
Maybe one of the toughest questions to answer on this team. Who's the two? Besh,
right? It's so funny.
Malik, Thomas. Yeah. I mean, it could be.
It's one of my favorite questions because I feel like we always talk about the problem areas and never like, wait, what's the actual pecking order there?
Right.
I kind of like, am I wrong for saying like Dre Jenkins might be the
could
two?
Be.
Like,
could be.
He's just reliable. And we were joking yesterday too of like, I am not comparing him, so we're using scale here. Please stay with me. But like when Justin Jefferson was going into his third year, it was kind of like he was the steady number one guy the year before who you could trust, but he wasn't like exciting, and then he just broke out. I think there's like some small element of like Dre Jenkins might be the guy we're just like bored of, but he's really good.
Yeah.
So I think Jenkins is my bet. But yeah, like those other four are just so talented. I don't know.
Another sign of how deep that room is
exactly.
I believe it. If you look up in week 4 and Dre Jenkins is the second leading receiver on the team, I'd buy it.
And you could convince me Chris Hilton, who's the least talked about. Like, I mean, there's just no like wrong pick here. Yeah.
Speaking of buying, make sure you buy your subscription on The Athletic today to follow Brody Miller's work, or you can follow him on Twitter at Brody A. Miller. It's football season, people.
Does it come with the
inside? Absolutely. I'm so glad that you hung on to the stash, bro. What is it? Is this a month? Does this make a month?
We're in about a month.
Yeah.
I appreciate the support, guys. If you get a subscription, I'll send you a mustache oil product. Whatever you guys need.
Looks great, bro. Keep it up. At Brody A. Miller. We'll be touching base a lot soon. Plug the podcast. Where's the podcast? Hold That Podcast. Where is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where can they find it?
It's at Hold That Podcast. You can get on Spotify, theathletic.com. I'm pretty sure if you go to theathletic.com/Hold That Podcast, you should get a discount as well.
All right, bro. We'll see you out at camp soon. There he is, Brody Miller, checking in. We'll see him in Baton Rouge here covering LSU, and you can follow him on Twitter at Brody A. Miller and read his latest over at The Athletic. Remember, our friends over at RMB Contractors brings back all of our sound. Anything you may have missed here on the Jordy Culotta Show, it's all podcasted for you. You can check it out anywhere that, like Brody was talking about, anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, wherever you pick up your podcast from. Subscribe to the podcast and get the latest. All of that compliments from our friend over at RMB Builders. They're over at Katie's house right now, but they got projects all over the city moving right now. Become a very fast, trustable name within the construction world. You talk about Rhett Bourgeois and his crew around lunch tables, and Ted's heads start to turn. People are seeing and hearing the really good quality work that RMB is doing. Don't get caught up in putting some name in your front yard, right, of some contractor.
Get the sign.
You just want the sign and the name that he's worked on your house or built your
cool.
house. Go quality.
Yes.
Get the quality. Get RMB. RMB-builders.com is where you can find him online. Our guy, Rhett Bourgeois and his crew. From custom design homes to commercial projects, they can help you out with everything along the way. RMB-builders.com, RMB-builders.com, or more. We're back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com.
I was excited to come to a top level program. I've been at a lot of great places, been very fortunate in my career, but to really say that you have an opportunity every year once we get it rolling, to win a national championship. There's not very many places that you can say that. So for him to offer me the opportunity to come with him to LSU was nothing but humility and gratitude. Some Sunday players in that room. But again, it's got to be the total package, the total process of buy-in, of understanding what we're trying to get done, of figuring out how we want it to get done, but also allowing those guys to be able to play with instincts. For example, I think Jay Ward is long and athletic. He's very versatile. He's played corner, played nickel, played safety. Very excited about Joe Fouché, one of the transfer guys that we came in because he has a dimension of physicality. Major Burns. Fortunate enough that he was able to come back home. Again, he's long, he's athletic, so he gives you flexibility between both field and boundary safeties. And then you've got some guys that you can throw in like Brooks, Sage, Derek Davis. Todd Harris is a guy that's been around for a while. So I think that we have enough in that room to be successful. But again, you still want to continue to grow and be able to push it.
Yeah, well, I think it starts here, and we have a good bit of people on this particular staff who are from Louisiana, who know and believe in our hearts that this place produces the best football players in the country, and I think the numbers speak for themselves. Per capita, produce the most NFL players, you know what I mean? So even from an analytical standpoint, it makes sense to take the kids from here because the chances of them playing in the league are higher than if they come from anywhere else. Yeah. I think our brand is super powerful, so we will have to recruit at a national level, or there's really no reason that we shouldn't, you know what I mean? Because if we can get a top player from another state who can help us win a championship, then of course, right? But I think it starts right here in Louisiana and then right here in Baton Rouge. There's some really good players who are still available that are right here in Baton Rouge. Yeah, well,
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
We've seen the BK takeover stuff from LSU and social media, and really in his short time in Baton Rouge, there's been a lot of people embracing his approach to building this roster. What's it like to recruit alongside him?
Oh, it's been great. Coach has been awesome to me because he lets me be myself when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to coaching. He lets his coaches coach, lets his coaches recruit. So I have no complaints on that end. And when I need him to get in touch with a kid, he's there for me. The communication line has been great. He's just been nothing but supportive.
Yeah, so I think getting through spring. I mean, most of it was obviously just installing the offense, and I think all 4 guys really made some strides in terms of that, and showed a lot of positives. Obviously, which you guys get to talk about all the time. So you guys,
Sure.
Yeah. But all 4 have done a great job. They did. I think they did a really nice job in spring of taking strides forward individually, and everybody's different in terms of what they need to get better at and what they need to show, and then move it into summer. And I love the way they're working right now in the weight room for Coach Flint. But like I said, I think spring a lot was everything was new for everybody. So especially at the beginning, there wasn't as much evaluation, say the first few days, get into the flow, and then I think we got some good opportunities for some guys to get some reps, and I think everybody showed some positives.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi,
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live here on this Tuesday morning. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, comment button. Yo, and also make sure you set an alert button for our channel. We are going live with Shelton Sampson's commitment on Saturday, the big 5-star local wide receiver here out of Baton Rouge, out of Catholic High School. Originally from Central. No, I had no idea.
Dirty C?
I had no idea. What happens, bro? They get to like 6th or 7th grade, and then they end up at Catholic High.
When it comes to high school, every big-time athlete at Central
ends up at
leagues.
Kelly.
Yeah, I saw where Gordy Rush Jr. was little G was going to U High.
Yeah, that just happens.
I mean, you prep them, get them all the way up there, ready for the spotlight, dude.
Carlos Stewart,
you yank
he was
him out.
the Gatorade Player of the Year at Dunham, like 2
Wow.
years ago. Played with him at Central.
Javonte Smart.
And he left. I mean, it's just
Javonte Smart was originally from out there.
Javonte Smart went to Central too.
For high school, like
didn't go to
sports.
Central, but everybody's from that. Like it's like everybody's from that area. That everybody grows up.
Jeremy
playing
Hill.
Football, basketball together.
Jeremy Hill was from there. Ended up at Redemptorist. I mean, like
stays at Central High.
nobody stays, man.
But
I
aren't
mean,
they pretty good? I mean,
I was about to say,
Central?
Yeah.
Central's quarterbacks
I mean,
come into
they've
UL.
been good.
they're not as good as the locals.
There's good athletes. Like Central has good athletes, but the best ones leave. Yeah,
that's too bad.
And so that's why, like this next year,
Depleted.
it's not going to be a good
Really?
year.
Well, I mean, when you look around, they're
Right.
scoring touchdowns for everybody else.
The only sport that players stay is baseball, and that's
Yeah.
why they've won the state championship, in recent years. But everybody else leaves.
Basketball,
Basketball.
right? No.
And we were good for 2 years.
Okay.
My senior year and the year after, and then last year they won 2 games.
2 games.
God.
Been in a season like that.
Wait, they won only two?
2 games. Yeah.
Jesus.
That's a long basketball
Look
season.
That is a
forward to-
long year.
That's a
Look forward
sad
to
season.
2024,
Long
2025. There's
Gotta
a
hang
young-
on to
there's a
him.
young guy out there. I'm trying to get Max out of there. But
you gotta
see what happens.
You gotta hang on to him, bro. Yes, the hashtag Shelton stays is trending right now. We will find out whether or not Shelton does stay in Louisiana. That'll be Saturday. 3 p.m. 3:06 is the official announcement.
3:06.
I think the program's going to start at like 2:50, 2:45 on Saturday. We'll do some local appeal for some local stories. We'll talk to David Semino, his high school coach. We will talk to Ken, his 7-on-7 coach. We'll talk to some of his family members, and then we will hear from Shelton Sampson, the 5-star wide receiver, who will choose out of LSU, Florida State, Alabama, and Texas A&M are the 4 schools that will have a hat on the table for the 5-star wideout. Where do you think he's going?
Well, I mean, wouldn't it be weird if he did his thing at Catholic and he's not going to LSU?
What do you mean?
Katie, I mean, where
A lot
else
of
would
people,
you do
I
it?
mean, where else
I
could they
know,
get
but
announced?
don't you think he's going to LSU?
I've been at University High announcements where they go to Alabama.
That's true.
I don't know. I think
Don't you think he's going to LSU?
Florida State.
Florida State feels like the dark horse.
Really?
Florida State feels like the team that has made up the most ground. Here's what people got to realize about Florida State is that David Johnson, who was Tyrann Matthews' high school head football coach at St. Aug, is the wide receivers coach at Florida State. And Gabe Fertitta, who was Catholic High's head coach for that 2-year state championship run. I think he won 3 and 4 years at Catholic High.
Sheesh.
Is a shadow staffer on Florida State's
Oh, is he really?
staff.
Oh.
And, I mean, he's got them in a fantastic position with Shelton Sampson.
I mean, anytime you see...
He recruited him to Catholic High, for God's sakes.
Anytime you see a school like Florida State...
He's done this before.
You see a school like Florida State in the mix.
Right.
Like with A&M, Alabama, LSU, and then you see Florida State like there's something.
Yeah.
But, I mean, still, I think LSU, staying
Yeah, I
home is a
mean,
big deal, but-
look, a lot of people are like, why would they ask the Culotta show to do it if they weren't going to LSU? It'd be great programming.
No matter where he goes.
I mean,
That's kind of my
if he
point.
starts tomahawk chocolate up there, bro, I mean, it'd be fantastic.
I mean, that was my point. Not just that it's here in Baton Rouge, but, like, we're kind of making it a big deal.
Yeah. What if he brings out
LSU.
Mike?
Who?
What if he brings out Mike for his commitment? That'd be
Like
great.
the Tiger?
Yeah. Wait, did you not see the kid from Florida that brought out the Gators for his?
Oh,
Florida
that's
game?
right. I did see that. That was weird. Weren't they baby? They were babies.
Yeah,
Baby Gators.
But
Did they have their mouths tied?
Yeah, they have them taped.
Still kind of cool.
I mean, yeah. it's
Who
cool,
was
I
the
guess.
running back that pulled out the Bulldog for Georgia?
Was
Like
that
a puppy?
Evander Holyfield Jr.?
No.
It was one. It was
No,
in
it
that
was a
group.
big-time player.
Yeah, it was in that group though.
It was a big-time player. He pulled out a
Might have been Nick
baby
Chubb.
Bulldog and went to
I
Georgia.
want a baby bulldog so
it was
bad.
it was cool, man. It was one of the best announcements I've ever seen.
That's cool, yeah.
I wonder what Shelton's gonna do here, bro.
Go to LSU.
No. As far as like, you think he's gonna give like any entertainment value on the announcement? He's a pretty shy,
He's shy, yeah.
shy.
Oh,
shy.
Isaiah Crowell.
Isaiah Crowell.
He did the Bulldog?
He pulled the Bulldog out. Yeah. He was going to have a pretty good career.
That running back room.
Is he still in Cleveland?
Crazy at Georgia.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Nick Chubb, Isaiah Crowell.
Nick
Was Todd Gurley in that room?
Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley was there before,
love
right
that
before
name.
Chubb.
Yeah.
And then Sony Michel.
Like they just been right.
I mean, Georgia's had like kind of a reputation though, like LSU did pre-2000. Like, Jesus, man, how do y'all not win here?
Right, like, what's going on?
I mean,
you look around, this guy's going to the NFL.
God.
He's going to the NFL.
Right.
Yeah, he's very shy. I don't think we're getting any.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to pull Mike out of a cage.
No, I don't think he's going to pull Mike out of the cage.
Like the social media program, like these videos that are coming out, I think like that's what's going to be the highlight.
Yeah.
Is seeing all this production that's coming.
In fact, at like 9:01 this morning, I think the first is going to go up.
9:01.
I mean, like, it's right after our show.
Right after the show.
Yeah.
9:06 then. It should be 9:06,
Don't give them more ideas about the 6 thing. Jesus
They already
Christ.
have the 6
3:06 on a Saturday? We're in. Nobody's complaining. Nobody's complaining.
Don't promote it. And
We
then
could
be mad about
maximize
it.
this on a Thursday afternoon, though. I mean,
right in the middle of our weekend.
Jesus, man. But I get it.
3 o'clock on a Saturday is.
It's August 6th.
Yeah, right. A little pregame nap time, bro.
Yeah, I'm just in the house.
Yeah,
2
right.
blunts in. I mean,
couple of relief meds in.
Yeah, I'm like, hello, somebody turn the TV on.
Commitment. What? Committed to this couch.
The only thing I'm committed to is this couch and this lighter right here.
All right, so we expect good news. I expect good news. I think it's between LSU and Florida State. I really do.
What if he pulled out Gators? Wait, they're not Gators.
No,
What
they're
are
on
they?
the
Seminoles.
Mm.
So a hatchet.
He'd have to pull
I
out
guess.
the,
I mean, what would be
spear.
what would be the best?
A
would,
tomahawk.
Or maybe even
not a
like a
hatchet.
chief hat.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! I don't think you
Yeah.
can
What
do
would you-
that.
I mean, you might get canceled. You know what I mean?
What do you do for
It's a risk
A&M?
we're taking, though.
What do you pull out for A&M?
The shark that they have for their recruiting visits.
The shark.
They,
a thumbs up.
whenever
Gig 'em.
if you look at recruits' pictures from their recruiting visits at A&M, they're holding a shark.
Why?
You know how?
Because they don't have a trophy.
They don't have trophies.
They
So
don't
like at
win
LSU,
anything.
they hold up the championship
Why a
trophy.
shark?
I don't know. A&M's weird. It's a
That
weird
is weird.
place.
I don't
That's so
understand.
funny,
like,
man.
all that
Alabama, you
has
have
to do
a
with
full-sized elephant.
I wish somebody would take a
Full-size
picture with that
elephant.
cup at LSU that they
Oh,
Texas
the-
A&M.
the catch, the-
Yeah, right. 72-70.
Jimbo's got it like
Statement win for the Fisher era.
he's got it framed right behind his
Yeah,
desk.
right.
Y'all see that right there? That's how you beat LSU right there.
That's Joe Burrow's junior
Beat Joe
season.
Beat number 1 pick.
Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button if you don't mind. Make sure you're subscribed and tell a friend about Saturday, man, if they want to catch the live commitment of Shelton Sampson. Make sure that you are tuned in for to the Jordy Culotta show. Did this happen? The Division I Council to vote against unlimited transfers? After the NCAA passed a new constitution in January, the Transformation Committee was formed to rethink and hopefully modernize D1 athletics. Now they're saying that it's unlikely to pass, according to the Athletic, giving unlimited transfers to student athlete. The combination of one-time transfer and new NIL opportunities has already created an environment that many coaches have complained allow for unfair recruiting bidding wars, giving players the option to transfer unlimited number of times, however, would make the recruiting market even more unmanageable.
I agree with that. I don't think they should be able to transfer unlimited times. Right? Y'all don't?
Who
I mean,
cares?
that's a lot.
Paying them anyway. Who cares?
That is crazily unmanageable.
I still believe that once you put a formation and boundary to NIL and to how these television revenues will be split up between conference schools and players, you can curtail this if you really want to, because just by the world and the country that we live in, they should be able to transfer if they want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They have that you've got free choice, just like the student sitting next to the student athlete in the university could go to 4 different schools if they wanted to learn about music.
Yeah.
Just so the athlete should be able to say, I want to go to 4 universities to get 4 different experiences and play for 4 different coaches. If you really want to do that, and you think that's the best way to get you prepared for the next level, then you can. But ultimately, why would you really leave when next door is pretty much doing and offering the same thing that you have right here?
Right, but you can't compare a student athlete to just a regular person sitting next to them in the same classroom, because the university is putting so much more money, time, effort into that student athlete, not into you just sitting there in the English class next to
Why?
Keyshawn.
What if I'm on scholarship? I mean, I'm getting the academic
like,
support. See, that's where it gets gray.
I mean, yeah.
But, you know, I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But if I am the student athlete, well, you're pumping all of this money into me because you're getting such a big return off of me.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're using my sweat, hard work to get and sell jerseys and tickets and tradition funds and all of this stuff that's going directly into your pocket, which is, you know, a couple of million a weekend you're making off of home games. And they have been fighting for their kind of room at the table for so long. Now they have their space. Now they have their spot at the table where they have a voice. They have the ability to make money, and their ability to make money has now convoluted and clouded the situation so much where it is literally, it is the wild, wild west. It is kind of everybody on their own. Everybody just kind of figure it out. But once these new contracts come in, the Big Ten's about to strike a big television deal. They just acquire USC and UCLA. SEC set to do the same thing with Texas and Oklahoma coming in. It's going to be billions, billions of dollars that are coming in to conferences and then distributed to each school. There is a absolute model that exists where everybody gets paid. Everybody. And the executives probably don't have to change their bottom line that drastically to come up with something that makes sense overall for the conference that would really, in turn, govern this stuff itself. So if I've got the ability to go to 4 different schools, why am I leaving LSU to go to Ole Miss, then go to Alabama, and then go to Texas A&M? Really and truly, they're selling me on the same things because they're in the same conference, and that conference is collectively bargained with a players union or association that exists of, this is what we're going to offer you if you come to the SEC. This is what you get. You get all of these shiny facilities. You play on ABC. You play on all this stuff. That stuff doesn't mean so. Okay, fine. We'll pay you $30,000 a year annually. We'll pay you $50,000 a year annually. We'll make sure and keep up with your medical for the whatever that stuff is. However that stuff's negotiated, I believe faster, sooner rather than later, that's going to be the agreement. And once that agreement is made, all this stuff will take care of itself. You'll still have the 1 or 2 or a couple of minority cases that some people do go play every year they've transferred. You know what I mean? But for the most part, it's not going to be this just let me go here, let me go there, let me go here, let me go there. And then everything from an individual standpoint on top of what you're making from the conference is on you. It's on your brand, which is the intention of NIL, right? It's the intention for Kayshon Boutte, who is a sellable personality and a guy that is, from a reputable standpoint, means something to a business owner to say, hey, look, Kayshon's here.
Right.
Well, if you want to come pay Kayshon to hang out at the kid's birthday party or just hang out in your lobby and shake people's hand and take pictures with him, well, cool. Here's the price guide.
Right.
Well, they're paying him $30,000 in the SEC. Yeah, that's just to come play ball in the conference.
Right.
If you want him to do that, he's his own entity. He's just like the piano player and just like the actress. If you want them to go play and star in an off-Broadway play this weekend, you're going to have to pay them, and this is their rate. You want Kayshon to come hang out? Here's his rate, right? I mean, and Kayshon could probably make more money at LSU than he could transferring and going to Bama.
For sure.
Right? There might be that one booster over there that says, hey, Kayshon, you come over here. I'll just tell me what they offer, and I'll just give you $100,000 more or, $10,000 more, whatever it is. Maybe. But for the most part, Kayshon wants to be popular in Louisiana.
Right.
Right? And he already is just by showing up and playing football.
So why would you mess that up and go somewhere else? And why would you break your commitment? And it's a whole team. Like, you didn't commit to a whole team just to go to LSU, even if you're on a scholarship. Like, you're messing up the dynamic of an entire team of people, other student athletes and coaches.
Well, see, to me, this is what this has created, is a lot of individuals within sports.
Yeah.
Right? And sports has always been looked at. I started as a fan by falling in love with Michael Jordan. I started as a fan by falling in love with Tommy Hotson and Wendell Davis and Shaquille O'Neal and Chris Jackson. Not necessarily the teams, but players, right? So it's always kind of been like this. Now it's not the exploitation of them, but it's the business of them, of the individual. It's more the individual business that you're acquiring when you recruit somebody. And I believe you'll have to recruit Harold Perkins all 4 years.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it's so, and not to say that he's staying 4 years, all 3 years.
Yeah.
You'll have to really kind of like I think they had to get in the weeds with Mason Smith and Kayshawn this year. You know,
How
like
exhausting
of,
is that?
oh
to
man.
have to keep doing that.
Oh, it's
over
exhausting.
and
And
over.
that's why I think this legislation, it does, for the first time in a while, it does look out for the coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the legislation has always has been trending and been player driven, player empowerment, giving player the opportunity to make the choice, make the money, whatever it is, which makes sense because they have been the one that has been so neglected from that standpoint, while really providing the entertainment and providing the coaches these paydays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's wild to think that, you know, Brian Kelly's making $10 million a year at LSU, and just 20 years ago when Nick Saban was offered a contract worth $1.2 million, that it was the third of its kind behind Spurrier and Bowden. So I mean, you know, the sport has just gone explosive over the last 20 years. And I think over the next 20 years, that type of money will be distributed to the players.
Yeah.
You know, you won't have this multi-million-dollar. I mean, who knows what Joe Burrow would have made in an NIL world 3 years from now?
Oh my God.
Who knows?
Can't even imagine.
Who knows? I mean, who knows? I mean, Joe Burrow could have probably taken a pay cut to go to the NFL.
Yeah.
You know, literally, and been the number one pick. I don't know, but I mean, you know, I think if a Joe Burrow ever comes along again at LSU, I mean,
get ready.
It's just the management of that and the business of that is what's different, really and truly. And I believe once the conferences and the players are collectively bargained, and most notably in football, I think college football needs to be its own entity, its own island that kind of exists by itself away from all of the other sports. And that's not to diminish that the other sports can accomplish what some football players or teams do, but come on. You know, I mean, 90% of football programs are paying for the rest of the there's not many Kentuckys out there where the basketball program is you know, he's floating the campus. A lot of it's LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, Florida, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Tennessee, where they're looking at the football program saying, we need some money. Can you offer up money? Yeah, sure. We made $58 million last year. You know, I mean, like it's a Fortune 500 company. So I mean, and that number is just going up, right? You know, kind of like on a meter. I mean, the thing's just ticking. So I really believe that once this stuff is figured out, and it will be faster, sooner rather than later. I think that it'll be
has to be.
It'll be kind of taking care of itself. All right, remember to get your questions in for tomorrow's mailbag segment. Hashtag mailbag. We're also taking your voicemails. Make sure and store into your contact list. 225-229-7741. Rove Camara, 225-229-7741 is the phone number. Get in touch with us there. We appreciate you being here just like you are every single day, starting your day with us here on this Tuesday. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning on Wednesday. No programming coming up. Yeah, we do have some programming coming up this afternoon. Colby Fields, the transfer linebacker from South Carolina, going to be through the studio this afternoon sometime around 3:30. So set your alerts, set your notifications.
3:36?
No.
Please.
Get
I beg
six,
you.
Get 6 off your brain.
I can't. That's what we have to work towards is 6.
What about 9?
306, August 6th,
Can
number
we bring
6.
the 9 with it?
Stewie.
I mean, it's sex. You just flip it over.
You're just trying to take Lloyd's place now.
Missed the guy.
Speaking of Lloyd, look out for him on Off the Bench. We'll be back for you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.